I'm Chris Morganelli, co-creator of Network Magazine and CEO at MCIT. In a partnership with Countess Communications, we are excited to bring you an engaging and meaningful video series called the Network Magazine Executive Forum, a brief yet deep dive into the success stories and journey of the Lehigh Valley's top business leaders and companies. Thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here.
Welcome, I'm Marta Countess. I'm president of Countess Communication, and we are delighted to have you here for this executive forum. And we are delighted to have J.B. Reilly as the first guest. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
It's nice to be here.
Let me first go through your bio. I get to read this part. J.B. Reilly is president of City Center Investment Corporation, which he co-founded in 2011. To date, the company has developed more than 3 million square feet of mixed-use space here in downtown Allentown, a $1 billion plus investment. JB was born and raised in the Lehigh Valley in Salisbury, receiving his bachelor's degree in economics at Lafayette and his law degree at Fordham. He is also a certified public accountant. He has more than 30 years of experience in real estate development and planning. In addition to City Center Investment Corporation, he is a founding partner in Landmark Communities, Traditions of America, and Traditions Capital. JB holds various board seats both locally and nationally. He and his family also give back, leaving their philanthropic mark on the Valley. JB, welcome. We are going to talk about the obvious growth here in Allentown. I like to call you the father of downtown Allentown's renaissance, and every time you drive down there's a new crane or a new project. Tell me about your current projects.
We're building a lot of residential, a lot of apartments right now, and we're really delighted with the demand for people that want to live here in downtown Allentown, because it's really affirming of all the work we've been doing over the last decade in terms of building office buildings and hotels and restaurants and retail spaces. Starting in 2015, we started building apartments, and we quickly realized that the demand for apartments was greater than we could actually provide. And by this summer, we'll have almost 1,500 new apartments here in downtown Allentown.
I drove down Hamilton on the way to your office today, and truly, you've grown beyond the bounds of what I describe as Center City with the statue behind you. Are you going to keep growing? Have you thought that through yet?
We're going to keep growing. In fact, we're growing outside, the boundaries of the neighborhood improvement zone. The projects we're building now are outside of the NIZ. What we're trying to focus now on is what we call the gateways, 7th Street, Hamilton Street, and trying to develop them in a way that where they're more inviting, they're safer, there's more activity, and and ultimately not only does it strengthen the downtown, but I think it strengthens the neighborhoods around the downtown.
And to that point, you're staying in Allentown but reaching a little further than the neighborhood with the old Allentown State Hospital site, and that's exciting for people in a totally different part of town.
Well, it's the largest undeveloped piece of land in Allentown. And as you know, there's a housing shortage, a housing crisis, really affordability crisis in the Lehigh Valley. And we think that site, there's an opportunity there to provide what we call missing middle housing, housing for the middle income. Most of the housing you see built for sale in the marketplace is for higher end. And so that site, we think, is really is well suited to be able to help address the housing crisis here in the Lehigh Valley.
I know that makes headlines a lot, as recently as this past weekend. Now, I know you're looking beyond the borders of Allentown. You've done a lot of work here. Tell me about some of the future projects that are in your line of sight now.
Well, I think building off of our learnings and our success here in downtown Allentown, we think that the demand for urban living spreads across the valley. And so we're looking at projects both in Easton and Bethlehem. In fact, we have a significant project in Easton we're going to be starting in the next couple months called the Marquee. And that's going to be almost 300 apartments and a parking deck and retail right off of Center Square in downtown Easton. And we're very, very excited about that. I went to Lafayette College, and 2 of our children are graduates of Lafayette College, and I've been very involved with the college for a number of years. So I'm really have a personal interest in Easton and excited to start that project soon.
But I'm sure that Bethlehem is excited that you didn't leap right over them to get to Easton. You've got them also in your thought process.
We're looking at a bunch of things right now. We submitted a joint proposal with another developer for the site in the redevelopment of the parking garage in downtown Bethlehem, and we're also looking at some other opportunities on the south side. So, again, we're really fortunate in Lehigh Valley to have three great urban areas. And I think that when you think about farmland preservation and the benefits of redeveloping our existing cities, we think that just makes a lot of sense for a lot of different reasons.
I think it's fair to say that, our generation was the generation that left areas like the Lehigh Valley and didn't come home. You came home. Your kids will probably stay home. My kids are planning to stay here because of a lot of the work that you have done. How have you seen that shift through your time in business?
The Lehigh Valley has changed dramatically, in the last 20 or 30 years, and frankly, right now it's growing, and it's growing. I think that the strong network of colleges and universities in the Lehigh Valley have a lot to do with it. The proximity to the New York metro area has a lot to do with it, and I think that the quality of life, the cost of living, and then just the diverse economy that we have, manufacturing, distribution, all kinds of strong medical device business, huge healthcare business, industry like Air Products and Lutron and Victaulic and Crayola and so forth. We just have a very different type of economy today than we had 20 or 30 years ago, and as a result, young people are finding great job opportunities and staying here or moving into the valley, and that's what's creating, in part, all the housing demand. The other kind of really interesting thing, the statistics will show that the percentage of millennials in the Lehigh Valley is growing, which you don't see in other Northeast communities in the United States. We think this is a great place to continue to grow our business. There's no reason for us to be looking outside of the Lehigh Valley because this is frankly a very dynamic, high growth region.
It's interesting because when we moved here, my husband said, "I'm glad I'm with a family and not a single person," but you just touched on something. This has kind of become a magnet for families as well as for singles to stay here, and that's exciting, and that's a good reason to make it a home, which is great. So speaking of family, we talked about this, but your family and City Center Investment Corporation has been generous in this community. Tell me about why giving back. I've got some numbers here, and I'm going to regale you with them just because I have them in front of me. But the Building Community Impact report just came out. City Center donated more than $3 million total, more to 50 organizations, bringing a 5-year total to more than $19 million donated. A lot of it has been centered in downtown Allentown. I assume that reach will expand when your reach expands, but why is it important for your family and your business to give back to the community?
If you're part of the community, we've been very fortunate, for my whole career to be able to, make a living here in the community. And, we're in a position that, that we can give back, and we frankly feel it's a privilege to, give back. Well, I've been involved in the community for a long, long time. My first entree was back with the Allentown YMCA in the 90s, where I probably start my volunteerism work. And I've been pretty, actively engaged ever since. So what we're doing today is just frankly a continuation of what we've done our whole career. My partner, Joe Topper, is a very generous, community-minded person as well. And so, we're both very, very happy, and our employees are as well. I think it's part of our, culture here to be engaged and give back because we feel we've, been very fortunate.
It feels good to give, but I want to ask you about back in the day. So give me one little nugget, because people do see your name on buildings and they know the work that you've done in the community. Give me one little nugget of something that people may not know about J.B. Reilly.
I bought my first property in Allentown in 1985. It makes me feel old, but I was actually in law school at the time, and I started a business with a partner that I still work with, Tim McCarthy. And we bought, we started buying properties in 1985. And so There was, some stops and starts in the revitalization of Allentown, because if you remember back then in the late 80s, there was a big effort to revitalize downtown Allentown and to kind of, at that time it was the transition of the retail, Zollinger's and Lay's and Hess's were kind of on the ropes, if you will, or actually out of business to some degree. And so how do you reinvent the city? And so we were part of that effort then. We never really got the traction that we're seeing today. But I've been involved in downtown Allentown for a long time in a consistent way all through these years.
So you were a visionary and didn't know you were a visionary?
No, I don't know. Again, it's a privilege to be able to do this work in your own hometown. And I think the drive that me and others at City Center, is really rooted in the fact that, it's not just a job or a project. It's, we think that we have an opportunity to make generational change here in our own community.
Which is fantastic. Final question, but your organization got behind Network Magazine in its infancy. How have you seen Network Magazine lift other businesses up, and why do you think it's important for businesses to get involved?
Well, I think when Network Magazine had their initial launch back in, I think maybe it must have been 2015, they had it at the Renaissance Hotel, which just opened. And we've been involved with Network Magazine since that time. First of all, when you think about what COVID's done in virtual work, I think more than ever, the importance of being able to collaborate and connect with people is more important now than ever. And a lot of those old ways that people used to connect aren't there anymore. And I think that Network Magazine has really emerged as being one of the primary ways for professionals to stay connected with each other. And we really like the way Network Magazine operates throughout the Lehigh Valley and connects people from all parts of the Lehigh Valley. So we think it plays a vital role in, not only, helping our business, but connecting other businesses and other people to each other.
Well, we are delighted that you took the time to do this as our inaugural Network Magazine Executive Forum series. It's so nice to talk to you, and thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
We want to thank these sponsors who have made the Network Magazine Executive Forum possible.